Here's the schedule facing Maryland this year. It includes the battle with Georgetown. It was a lot of fun last year and should be once again this year, taking on the Hoyas, a Fox Sports 1 game. They go to Brooklyn for a game with BC. We'll see them in a marquee battle against Oklahoma State here on the Big Ten Network as we welcome Melo Trimble, DaMonte Dodd here. And guys, first of all, the notion that Big Ten Media Day is here. I mean, it's essentially in your backyard. Now, the Big Ten has talked a lot about wanting to put its stamp on the East Coast and that they're living in kind of two regions of the country, kind of putting its money where its mouth is here. What does it mean to have the league coming here, not just for Media Day, but also for the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, it's real cool just to be, close to home. Everyone keeps saying it's in our backyard, so that's pretty cool. And it's good that, our family can travel and see us, so that's always good to have your family here, in the games and stuff, real close to you.
Yeah, how cool is this for you, Melo, to have it right here?
And just like Tay said, I mean, it's real cool to have our family and friends come to the game. I mean, not to the game, but, to come here to Media Day, not have to travel so much and just have to, take an Uber or take the train just to come down here instead of, going to Chicago where we had to, on the flight and stuff like that. And as far as, like, the games and stuff, playing the Big Ten championship, the playoffs or whatever is here. So we don't have to go too far and, like you said, have our fans and family come there.
It's going to be great, not just for you guys, but I know Penn State fans are excited and Rutgers fans that it's here on the East Coast. And, of course, there's so many Big Ten transplants who live here as well, so there will be fans from every team in the league. For you, Melo, there was some question as to whether or not you would be here. I think there were some fans in the league who thought, well, maybe he'll make the jump to the NBA. Ultimately, what swayed you to come back?
Just me being honest with myself. I went through the process, went to the combine, went to some of the workouts with the teams, and I talked to the GMs and different scouts, and, they just, they gave me their honest opinion. And I just had to be honest with myself at the end of the day, what I wanted to do. And the biggest thing for me was I ready? And I felt that I wasn't ready, after I went to the combine. So it wasn't too much thought to put in after that. I just, always had my heart in coming back to Maryland, do another year and having a good year this year.
Why weren't you ready? What did they tell you, and what did you feel inside that you needed to be better at?
Mental toughness. Last year we had so many expectations, for the team, myself, for us to do really good. And, we had a good season. We just didn't meet, everyone's expectations for us to, win the national championship, me, player of the year, and stuff like that. Unfortunately, those things didn't happen. But, throughout the season we had, like, ups and downs, and other teams go through that. But I've never been through that. So that was my first time ever to have people, say bad things about me, write us off and stuff like that. And right. I don't know how to deal with it. So, it was a learning experience, and I'm glad it happened because I know when I go to the next level, you got to expect things like that.
Sure.
Do you guys view this season almost, because there was so much expectation last year. I mean, last year the expectation was national championship. And if you didn't get that, you failed. Right. Is it easier entering this season almost with a chip on your shoulder, a little something to prove, and almost it's a breath of fresh air that you're in some way the underdogs?
It's a lot easier. I mean, we could actually breathe now. It's a new season. We haven't started yet, and no expectations. I mean, we have some, but not as high as we did last year. So, I mean, we just go out there and play basketball, and that's the biggest thing for us is just to, worry about the team and just worry about each individual game instead of worrying about, different accolades and stuff like that, and just worry about stuff and what we can improve on.
DaMonte, what does it mean to you and the rest of your teammates when a guy like Melo comes back? I mean, he's doing what's best for him. You've got to test the waters. You got to go be evaluated. But coming back, it's got to give you a boost of confidence.
Yeah, definitely. It gives us, the star point guard that we had gives us him back, and we need him. And it was so glad that, when he said he was coming back, we was all excited in the group chat and different things like that. And it just gives us more scoring. He's got better defensively, and it's just going to make our team just overall better.
So you're actually playing defense now.
I'm actually playing defense.
That's what I was talking about. No, you always play defense, but the fact that you're pointing that out, I mean, I think the question for you has always been the leadership because you're not a vocal guy.
Right.
You're not a talker, you're not a vocal guy, but you've always led in the way you played. Have you emerged a little bit more as a vocal guy because it's actually what your team needs?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm being pushed, in practice by the coaches, of having leadership, talking and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just about me being uncomfortable with, like, talking and stuff like that. And, I'm finding, ways to do it to make, my life easier. a lot of the young guys and the new guys who are here, they look up to me and give me a lot of respect. So, I mean, once it's like that, I have the confidence to just go in there and lead and, not worry about, making a fool out of myself, just being myself.
How tough is that? Because, I mean, Dave, you'll attest to this. For me, it's easy. I talk. That's what I do for
Every
a living.
once in a while,
I talk.
yeah.
Talking's easy.
As long as you're awake. Yeah.
But your
Sometimes
it's not your personality.
Yeah.
So understanding that, how difficult is it, and how much of an effort do you have to make on a daily basis to be more of a vocal guy when the entire country views you as probably the premier point guard in the country?
It's just the next step in my game, being a more vocal guy. I mean, I'm the leader of the court, leader of the team. So, I mean, in order for, everyone to hear things on the court without coercion, people have to lean on me. So, like I said, I mean, I've gained confidence from, like I said, a young group of guys that came in and the new guys that are on the team just respecting me and just giving me the, just the boost, just to talk. Everything I say is not going to be right, but as long as they hear me and respect me, I feel as though it is right. So, I guess that's part of just being a leader, just having the confidence to do it.
Now, DaMonte, no diamond stone. You're certainly going to have to do a lot down low. How much easier does he make your game? And how much easier does a guy like Dion Wiley make the game? I mean, he's another guy that we didn't see last year, and Coach spoke so highly of in terms of how important he is to the team.
Yeah, they really helped me a lot, just hitting me in the pocket pass and I'm making the right decision, or they hit me for the post-up and different things like that. They just make the game easier for me. They just say, just roll hard, we'll get you the ball. And they get other players on our team, opportunities to score. And with Dion coming back, that just takes pressure off of him. And he's another great ball handler, another great passer, another great shooter. So, him and Anthony Cowan and guys like that, them three on the court together, that's just going to give us more power.
The external expectation last year was so high. And I think for this year, it comes in just a little bit lower. I mean, there's still a lot expected from this program. But for you guys, understanding what the weapons you have, who's back, who's healthy, who's doing what, where do you feel like your team could be?
I mean, we could play with the best teams in the country. I mean, we're, like you said, low expectations, being overlooked. But, I mean, like I said, we're not worried about that anymore. Last year, that was a big thing for us, just worry about ourselves instead of the media. We was getting so much, I wouldn't say hype, but just so many expectations that, we was the top of everything. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing for this year. We know what we could do. We know who we could compete with. We just got to worry about our team. And, like I said, just take one game at a time and just focus on the process.
DaMonte Dodd, Melo Trimble, guys, really good to have you here. We've wished everyone else safe travels home. I mean, for you guys, you'll be home for dinner, but appreciate you.
Home for study hall.
Yeah, or
Study hall.
Yeah, there you go. What does that mean there, DaMonte? What does that, yeah.
Study,
You be all right?
Something that all student athletes have to go through. So, I mean,
right.
we'll be fine.
How you work off your energy? You still involved in music? You're a drummer, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I get the opportunity, I play every now and then. But, I'm always up here, so it's not no drums around here. So I got to go home to play.
Well, we'll bang the drums for the Terrapins this year as Maryland looks to have another outstanding season. One of those teams that's in the mix here in the Big Ten, in that middle of the pack and perhaps moving up to that upper echelon. Really good to talk to you guys. DaMonte Dodd, Melo Trimble. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for having us.